Reinstate Women Rights webinar series, where we talk about education, educators, women empowerment, and to talk with, we have none other than but woman herself. The women, those have achieved heights, those have done brilliantly well in their sectors, in their fields, and they have given a remarkable landmark and achievements to all of us so that we can get inspired and we can follow the path which has been led by women. And among everything, the most important thing is how we get into the concept of learning with women and learning for women and learning by women. That's what the concept of empowering women is. And today's topic is empowering women through education. And to present and to talk on to this particular topic, we have Dr. I. Princess from Chennai, Assistant Professor of History, Loyola College. And before I hand over the platform to ma'am, I would like to show a few slides of ICSI and then we move ahead. So what woman means? Woman means power. We means power, and reinstate women rights. So welcome everyone. ICSI welcome everyone to this very special evening. Fridays are always special because they are dedicated to women power and nothing beyond that. And we salute the entire women power, entire women community all across the globe. They are doing wonderful, and due to their patience and due to their dedication, I think this chain of humanity, this chain of development is going ahead, is moving, and is doing wonderful. So we are pledged towards making education relevant, and we were doing this webinars from Monday to Sunday. And as I have told, every time we have some kind of a changes in our webinars types, trends, and methodology. And soon you will be seeing a few more changes as per the suggestions of the viewers. And we are glad that you are suggesting very good changes and very good topics and very important structures to be made when we talk about the webinars, particularly developing the entire education ecosystem. So ICSI, International Chamber for Service Industry, is completely dedicated towards service industry. And since the pandemic times, we have completely focused on education services because we believe that if this particular service can be taken care well, the entire other services included in the service industry can be taken towards the good platform through education services. So welcome again from ICSI and from Colonel K.C. Menon sir as well. He's our regional advisor, South India. And this is his efforts, and we are thankful to him that this particular webinar series of Reinstate Women Rights is getting many good speakers every week consistently. And we are gaining much more knowledge, and we are getting to know that women are nowhere lesser than anything else. Yes, they are not, but even if somebody is thinking about that can women do this? Can women do this? Every week, the speakers, those come to us on our platform, they make us believe that yes, this field can also be achieved wonderfully by women and whatnot. There are many things to talk about, but in this webinar, I'm the host, I am the moderator, and I have to present today Dr. Princess, and we want to listen more and more from her. So without wasting our time, I'll moving ahead with my presentation, my slides, so that we can quickly cover this, and then we move on to our guest speaker. So this trio is very much wonderfully made, and it shows the action plan, the vision of ICSI, where education alone cannot do everything, but education in combination with skills, MSME, entrepreneurship, and employment can do a lot many wonders and can make India Atmanirbhar. And women, as I have told already in few minutes ago as well, women empowerment, women plays an important role when we talk about this trio, that Shiksha, Kaushalta, Udyamita. And during pandemic, our finishing school goes digital, and we have seen this as inspirational lab. Inspirational lab is there, but the concept of finishing school and the essence of giving the skills development concept and preparing educators and youth, that is not missing. That is still with inspirational lab, with more things included into it, that how to make education relevant, what to add, and what more to be included so that education become relevant towards day-to-day life. And as I have told it, service industries plays an important role. And if we have to contribute towards Atmanirbhar Bharat, and as we are running towards the 75th year of India's independence, and we are celebrating Amrit Kal, we are into Amrit Kal, Amrit Mahotsav. So all these things can be achieved through service industry, and each and every component of service industry, keeping education towards the center, keeping skills, MSME, technology, research, health and wellness. These are few of the things, a lot many things. Complete service industry, if comes into empowerment, then only India and we as a service industry people can contribute towards Atmanirbhar Bharat. And ICSI has dedicated year 2022 towards teachers and youth empowerment. And we always say this slide is one of the favorite slide of mine, because it always make me feel and tells me that I can achieve everything. I can do everything. There's nothing that I cannot do. There's nothing impossible. Everything is possible. So whatsoever your mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So let's come together for making education and skills relevant. Keep writing to us on the given email ID as you do. And we love to read your comments, your suggestions, your emails. They're much more valuable to us. And also you can WhatsApp on the given number, your suggestions and any viewpoint you want to share with us. Till date, we have completed 1,577 webinars, all thanks to the lovely audience and your love, your affection, your care, and all the webinars. There's nothing like all 1577 webinars is completely dedicated towards reinstate women rights. No. You will find a flavor of different varieties of programs under the broader umbrella of making education relevant. Whether you talk about human library, whether you talk about teachers empowerment, youth training, whether you talk about motivational speeches, motivational intellectual and ethical webinars. There are a lot many variety you can find, and where to watch, you just have to log into ICSI YouTube channel, subscribe, share, like, and tell us your views. So with this, put your hands together in welcoming Dr. I. Princess, Assistant Professor of History, Loyola College, and she is going to present today and going to talk on empowering women through education. This is our 1578th webinar. Ma'am, we are very happy. We are pleased to welcome you. And we wish that we can see you on screen. And if you can unmute your mic, thank you so much. and very warm welcome, ma'am. Good evening.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much, madam, for your kind words about me. Good evening to you all. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Menon and Madam Chitra for giving me an opportunity to deliver this lecture in this platform. My topic is empowering women through education. So I would like to share my screen before that. I just introduce myself. Yes, madam.
Yes, ma'am, you can please share. Please go ahead.
Yes, madam. Is it visible, ma'am?
Yes, it is very much, ma'am.
Yeah, yes, madam. Is it okay, ma'am? Clear?
Yes, clear. Yeah.
Yes, madam. First, let me introduce myself. I am Dr. I. Princess, Assistant Professor of History, Loyola College, Chennai. I have 10 years of teaching experience in Loyola College, and I have published many articles, and I have published my own book. I presented many papers in international as well as national level conferences and seminars. So I served as a resource person and chairperson in many conferences, which is organized in many colleges. My topic is women's education, actually. Okay, so I love to give lecture related to the empowering women, right? The empowerment of women. Today, so I'm going to give a lecture about, lecture on empowering women through education. So in that, I would like to discuss historical study, historical study on the role of Western women in empowering Native women through education. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world, said by Nelson Mandela. Right. So the education is an important indicator of women's development. It is also an important instrument for attaining economic power and independence. It opens up opportunities that are linked with various levels of formal educational attainment. However, educational opportunities available today have not been shared equally by both men and women. As compared to men, women have been benefited much less from educational opportunities across different regions of the world. The coming of the Christian missionaries and the establishment of the British Raj in India led to several changes which affected almost all aspects of Indians' life. The most momentous of all changes introduced by the Christian missionaries was the new system of education. So during the first half of the 19th century, education for women that was limited to only a small minority aristocratic families who imparted education to their women so that they could help them in the management of their huge estates. A few illustrious women made their mark as statesmen, rulers, soldiers, and also saints. The official survey of education conducted in different parts of the country at the beginning of the 19th century showed that in Madras, 5,480 girls attended indigenous primary schools against 1,78,630 boys. Okay, so the education of women in India was almost due to the efforts of the British and the influence of the Christian missionaries. For many years, girls' education was a notable factor in missionary system. Education helps a girl to earn an income in later life, so to participate actively in public life and to achieve personal autonomy. Okay, the women missionaries were sent to India as educationalists. Various missionaries founded many schools for boys and girls. During the time, female education was resisted. The people believed and bounded by the religious superstition would not allow their girls to go to school. That time, women missionaries, they came forward to take charge of the duties. Slowly, the missionaries touched the heart of the people. So the people also gave their full cooperation to develop girls' education. The originators of schools for poor and middle-class Indian girls were missionaries. In 1813, Christian missionaries were allowed to carry on religious propagation in British India, and a network of missionaries rapidly spread all over the country. Besides, they opened orphanages, dispensaries, and also did extensive famine relief work. The Charter Act of 1813 opened India to start missionary societies. Okay, with the passage of that act, the missionaries began to land in India in large numbers and started many schools to teach the people to understand the principle of their religion, thereby laying the foundation of modern education system. So this act gave missionaries freedom to go where they wished, and various missionary societies, especially the British missionary societies, began work in South India. The Christian education for girls in South India began at Tranquebar in the early 18th century. Schools opened there by German missionaries were attended by girls, though few in number, as well as boys. The first school for girls was started in 1712, did not survive very long. See, one of the earliest of such schools dates back to about 1816, according to a report made by Reverend James Ho. Mrs. Bailey belonged to the Church Missionary Society, had a few girls under instruction in her own house in Kottayam, that is in Travancore. In 1823, Mrs. Rainiers from Church Missionary Society opened a girls' school in Palayam Kota, that is in South India, Tamil Nadu especially. In 1832, Mrs. Drew, from London Missionary Society, opened girls' schools in Eperi, Madras, from which the Bending School has developed. In 1835, Mrs. Eckhart, from Madura Mission, opened a day school for girls in Madura. In 1840, Mrs. Sewell, she is also from London Missionary Society, opened a school for girls in Bangalore. In 1841, the Methodists opened two schools in Porto Nova, that is called Parangipete, that is in Kadalur district. And the report tells us that Mrs. Carver gives her attention to the females of both these schools. In 1841, Mrs. Braidwood of Scottish Presbyterian began the education for girls in Rayapuram, Madras. In 1849, German Lutheran missionaries in Madras opened classes for girls in a church which extended and beautified. Sir Thomas Munro, when he was the governor of Madras, the years between 1820 and 27, so gave his attention to the subject of education. He made a survey of the schools in the various districts of the presidency, Madras presidency, but drew up a scheme for the maintenance of schools at every collectorate and Tashildari, that means Taluk, and set up a committee of public instruction for carrying it out. The first step taken by the committee was to organize a school at Madras for the training of the teachers, especially the training of the teachers in June 1826. So this central institution was under an English headmaster assisted by Pandits, okay, Pandits, learned person, okay, who were connected with the college board. Arrangements were made to train and educate 40 students as teachers. They were selected from the district they were expected to serve. So each student was assigned a stipend of rupees 15 per month. Hindu students were taught in vernacular languages of the district to which they belonged, while the Muslims were taught Hindustani, Persian, and Arabic. So provisions was also made for the instruction of all students in the English language and in the elements of European literature. So 1820, the Church Missionary Society began work in Tirunelveli, that is in South Tamil Nadu. So at the suggestion of James Ho, who went to Tirunelveli as chaplain in 1816. So he opened 12 schools, 3 of which were for girls. So both Christians and Hindus strongly opposed the education of girls. The girls' boarding school in Palayamkota was opened in 1823. At a later date, the girls' boarding school at Palayamkota was called the Mary Sargent Girls' School after the wife of Bishop Sargent, who looked after it with loving care for 28 years. So Madras Native Female Education Society was established in 1829. The object of the society was to provide an elementary vernacular education upon the Christian basis. Bishop Corey's school was opened as the Madras Grammar School on 1st July 1836 under the advice of Bishop Corey and with the aid of the Christian Knowledge Society. Bishop Corey's Grammar School was one of the oldest educational institutions in Madras. Received its designation in 1837 as a tribute to the memory of the late Bishop Corey. It was the only Church of England school for the education of European and Eurasians in the town of Madras. The pupils or the students who receive a sound course of instruction in English, Latin, Tamil, mathematics, and were prepared for the matriculation examination of the University of Madras and also the lower secondary education. Then Bishop Corey's school was also established in 1893. In 1895, Miss M. Eve and Miss Burns were the assistant mistresses. In early mission work, the education of boys was generally considered of more importance than the education of girls. The girls educated in mission schools normally belonged to poor, outcast, or low-caste families. The Reverend John Anderson, the first Scots Presbyterian missionary in Madras, considered that the education of girls was more important than that of boys, and the girls to be educated from high-caste families. He was remembered as the founder of the Madras Christian College School and as the pioneer of higher education in this presidency, in Madras presidency. So in 1841, Mr. and Mrs. Braidwood joined Anderson. So it was through Mrs. Braidwood that a school for girls was opened on 5th March 1841. So 1841, Mrs. Braidwood of the Scottish Presbyterian Mission had begun the education of 3 caste girls in Rayapuram, Madras. Mrs. Braidwood and Mrs. Anderson of the Scottish Mission opened a day school for high caste Hindu girls in Madras. These two missionaries opened a Hindu girls' school at Vellore, and in 1885 there were hundreds of Hindu girls in the elementary schools of that mission. Schools were opened for Malayali girls in Travancore and Calicut, and for Tamil girls in Tirunelveli, Madras, and Madras, and for Telugu girls in Nellore and also Guntur. In 1840 and 1841, Mrs. Sewell of the London Missionary Society opened schools for Kannada-speaking girls in Bangalore city. It is called PETA, Bangalore PETA. PETA means city. So these were the first schools of the kind in this part of India. A lace-making class was started by Mrs. Malt to help to defray the expenses of the school. Mrs. Malt must have been a remarkable woman with the vision of a literate and self-supporting Christian church. So Mrs. Vyat opened a lace-making industry at Idayangudi, that is in Tirunelveli, and also Trichy, it was called Trichinopalli. Okay, so the missionaries' wives interested themselves in it and taught needlework and scripture. The most remarkable missionary in this field was Amy Carmichael, who has for many years rescued girls and boys from evil surroundings and make a beautiful settlement for them at Donavur in Tirunelveli district. So the American Madura mission became the pioneer in the field of education of girls and also of women. A number of primary, secondary, and high schools were opened and managed by them. The Madura Girls Training and High School functioned in Capron Hall at Mangalapuram, that is in Madurai, that worked successfully. There were 4 more large schools for Hindu girls in the Madurai town and 1 at Arupukottai, that is in Tamil Nadu. In 1900, there were 8 boarding schools, a training school, a theological seminary at Pasumalai, all run by the American Madura Mission. The Pasumalai College, a first grade college, was the forerunner of the American College in Madurai, which was started by them in the year 1881. So to improve the economic condition of the people of this district, the American Madura Mission established several institutions in which young men and women were taught to earn their livelihood by honest and intelligent labor. The industrial training was calculated to develop a respect for labor and to encourage self-reliance. The mission's industrial department taught lace making, preparation of jams and marmalades. Marmalades means a type of jam that is made from oranges and lemons, right? So courses were conducted in domestic management, okay, first aid and gardening, and in methodic cutting and sewing of dresses. The Wesleyan Girls Boarding School, Raipeta, was established in 1848, chiefly for the benefit of native Christian girls. So it was situated in the compound of the Wesleyan Mission, Raipeta. Mrs. Cooling was its lady president. The girls were taught English as a language, but their lessons were mostly given in Tamil, their own languages, the vernacular languages. Special attention was also paid to needlework and to give instruction in the duties of domestic life. The course of study was adapted to the requirements of the university matriculation and also the government examinations. So in January 1875, a committee of ladies and gentlemen under Lady Hobart met to discuss the expediency of providing for the education of Mohammedan girls by the establishment of elementary schools where they might be taught the own language and needlework of every description. The school was opened on the 16th April 1875 with 24 students and was designated the Hobart School in recognition of the warm interest taken by the Lord and Lady Hobart. The school was annually inspected by the government inspectoresses of the schools. No fees were levied. The institution was dependent on the interest on an endowment of rupees 10,000 founded by Mary Lady Hobart, and the proceeds of donations and also the subscriptions, grants in aid from the government, profits, the profits on the sale of children's work and of other work for the benefit of the school. So the income from each of the said sources have been steadily increasing. Okay. So the Indian educational policy was based upon the dispatch of the Court of Directors of the East India Company sent out to the Governor General in Council in the year 1854. Wood's dispatch came to be known as after the name of Sir Charles Wood, who was the president of the Board of Control. So it directed government to pay attention to primary and university education. It advocated grant-in-aid system based on secular system. The diffusion of European knowledge was the primary object of Wood's dispatch. So this dispatch worked the beginning of mass education from the filtration theory. So it was considered as Magna Carta of English education in India. The reforms of Sir Charles Wood's dispatch of 1854 was the constitution of a separate government department of education, and then establishment of universities in the chief presidency towns like Madras, Bombay, Calcutta, as well as Delhi. Right? So the medium of instruction, very important one, right? The medium of instruction, that was English for higher branches. Okay, the English for higher branches, vernacular for lower level students, lower classes. The children, they can study their vernacular languages, the medium of instruction. And the establishment of an institution for training teachers for all classes of schools. And to increase the number of government colleges and schools, they recommended in this dispatch, Sir Charles Wood recommended this, to increase the number of government colleges and schools. Increased attention to vernacular schools, for the development of vernacular schools. Insisted female education. They are given priority to the female education. Established new middle schools for girls, exclusively for girls. And grant-in-aid system, right? They advocated grant-in-aid system based on perfect religious neutrality. There is religious neutrality. Encouraged the students with stipends, scholarship, a reward of merit. And also it pointed out the indispensability of examination. It demanded periodical report of government inspectors and a comprehensive system of scholarship was introduced so as to connect lower schools with higher and higher schools with colleges. Okay. See, as per the Woods Dispatch, the University of Madras was established in 1857. As a response to Wood's dispatch, the Directorate of the Public Instruction was established. It laid a foundation for the creation of the Department of Education. The introduction of grant-in-aid system was a remarkable feature of 1854 dispatch, that is Wood's dispatch. This aid was offered for the erection, enlargement, or repair of the school building, the provision for school furniture, the salaries of the teachers, the provision of stipends for students, and the provision of school books, maps, and apparatus at reduced prices according to the circumstances of the case. The grant-in-aid system was first introduced into India by the Board of Education of the Bombay Presidency. Okay. The two schools of Palayankota were aided on the fixed grant system. The government of India decided to allot to the Madras Presidency rupees 40,000 out of the annual recurring grant of 2,46,000 from imperial funds. Okay, the imperial funds in aid of European and Eurasian education in India. The word Eurasian, right? I have mentioned the word oftenly, the Eurasian. So the word Eurasian means a person of mixed European and Asian parentage. Okay, so they used to call Eurasians, right? Okay, so the expenditure was incurred on the following subjects, right? So the improvement of the pay and the prospectus of the teachers, an enhancement of the female grants was in aid of the, the equipment and maintenance of schools and the provision of scholarships on a more generous scale. See, the Madras government decided to open a training school for women teachers. So it was an important event in the history of women's education in South India. A vernacular training school established by Church Missionary Society at Palayankota in 1856 and the Gospel Society Seminary at Sayapuram, that is in Tamil Nadu, with the object of adopting it to the work of training. The Christian Vernacular Education Society also helped the training of teachers in South India. A teachers training school was opened by the society at Dindigul, that is near Madras, where elementary school teachers were trained. The Sarah Tucker Female Training School, named after the sister of the Church Missionary Society in Madras, was opened at Palayankota in 1858. In 1867, it passed into the hands of Mr. and Mrs. Lash, who did such a good work. Teachers were received from Madura, Tanjore, Madras, Ceylon, and also Mauritius for giving training. The students were given a thorough training, especially in the way of teaching children, and Sarataka training was valued throughout South India. The branch schools were scattered throughout the district, especially in towns. Excepting one or two, they were mostly for non-Christian girls, chiefly Hindu and Mohammedan. Once in a month, the teachers of all the branch schools met together in the college chapel, where they discussed their the special difficulties and received help and also the advice. Okay, so you can see the slide. Mary Carpenter, okay, a great English social reformer, gave a new lead to women's education. Okay, she suggested the establishment of a teacher training college for women. She was stressed that the induction of trained primary teachers in girls' schools would increase. Her reputation as a social reformer and her direct access to the highest authorities both in India and England made it possible to give immediate effect to her proposals, and the first training college for women primary teachers was established in 1870. Okay, so in 1881, Mr. and Mrs. Vyat opened the first society for the propagation of gospel training school for women teachers in Trichinopalli. St. John's Female Training Institution, Nazareth, that is in Tamil Nadu, and the Saratakkar Institution occupied a prominent position. So during the last decade of the 19th century, 2 women missionaries in Tirunelveli took up the cause of the physically handicapped person. Miss Asquith, a remarkable woman, founded the first women college in South India. She was the founder of the first women college in South India, that is the Saratakkar College, that is in Tamil Nadu. Saratakkar College, and the first school for the blind. Okay. So she began the work by taking 6 or 7 blind children into her bungalow, okay, and teaching them to weave and to maintain the garden. She was helping a larger number of blind boys and girls. Miss Asquith, principal of the Saratakkar College, made steady progress both in strength as well as efficiency. In 1889, the first blind school started in India was at Palayamkota with only 1 student under the management of the principal of Saratakkar College. The boys were taught to learn weaving, rope making, and etc. In a girls' schools, there are 22 students of varying ages who come from the different parts of the presidency. 13 blind young men who received their education here worked as teachers in the different elementary schools. A branch school for the blind was opened at Pannivalai, that is in Tamil Nadu, with the blind teacher as its head, a blind teacher as the head of this institution. Right. And 1892 and 93, there were 3 such schools in the presidency, one for blind boys and another for blind and one for blind girls at Palayamkota, and third one for the blind boys at Pannivalai, that is in Tenkasi district, and the rest of all in Tirunelveli district. Okay, so the 3 schools were respectively attended by 15, 11 as well as the 8 students whose age ranges from 8 to 27. Rope making, basket making were taught to boys, and bead threading, basket making, knitting, okay, knitting to girls with the success. So Miss Florence Vincent, okay, so did equally a remarkable work for the deaf. Okay. So Miss Vincent raised sufficient funds to found a school for the deaf in Palayamkota, which was opened in 1895. So in 1913, she opened a second school for the deaf in Madras. Both the blind and deaf schools had been connected with the Saratakar College and also high school in Palankota. Miss Vainson, the head of the deaf and dumb institution at Palankota, was requested by government to open an institution for the deaf and dumb in Madras. A special grant of rupees 3,000 was sanctioned and paid for the 2 years. There were two schools for deaf mutes, both at Palankota, under the management of Miss Vainson, one for girls and another one for boys. Both the schools were aided on the fixed grant system. A deaf and dumb school with 12 people, the 12 students, was opened at Vepperi in Madras by Swainson as a branch of the school at Palankota. As early as 1896, Tirunelveli, that is in Tamil Nadu, showed its leadership in girls' education under the inspiration of Asquith, by founding the Saratakar College. So the college buildings were opened by Lord Curzon, right? So besides the Saratakar High School, St. John's High School at Nazareth, opened in 1885, was the only other girls' high school in Tirunelveli. Women's higher education got substantial growth since the beginning of the 20th century. Okay, so accordingly, so 1915, Women's Christian College that was started at Madras. Miss McDougall was also the first principal of the Women's Christian College. It was opened with the cooperation of 6 American and 6 British missionary societies. But this was not the first women's college in South India. First one was the Saratakar College. By 1912, 2 other intermediate colleges, both for European, not Indian women, were opened by Roman Catholic sisters in Madras. One of these being the Presentation Convent in Vepperi. You can see this slide. So the next one, the Queen Mary's College, that is for women, was opened by the government. Okay, opened by the government as a first grade college in Madras. Okay, it was founded in the year 1914. The opening of this college was the triumph for progressive Indian opinion. So there were nevertheless the considerable opposition, but the first principal, Miss Dorothy de la Haye, to whom the college owes a great part for its growth and development, guided the affairs of the college as its principal for 21 years. See, after the retirement, enlarged photograph of Ms. de la Haye was placed in the assembly hall, that is in the college premises. See, after the retirement of Dorothy de la Haye, Ms. Myers was appointed to the principal of this college from January 3rd from 1936. And Lady Erskine visited the college on February 26, 1936. She was received by the principal and the members of the advisory council. In 1921, Lady Wellington Training College was opened by the British government. In 1923, St. Christopher Training College was also opened with the support of 4 British and 4 American missionary societies. Nora Brockway, okay, she was the first principal of the college. The Lady Wellington Training College has done a meritorious work. Soon after it was opened, it introduced the special courses in indigenous arts and crafts. Its students carried on adult night school, and the teaching given in the college on a theory of education has been made real to the students. So in this college, Hindu widows were also trained. St. Christopher Training College had been residential and international. Okay, so in the first year, the lecturers were Indian, American, and British. It had been the desire of the government that the secondary as well as graduate students should enjoy something of the freedom and the wider opportunities generally associated with university life. The cooperation in extracurricular activities, the societies and games of graduate and non-graduate students from different communities and language areas had helped to make this possible. These two training colleges were opened just when they were most needed. The training colleges should be able to undertake the kind of extension and research suggested by Lindsay Commission because of their connection with the school education, which greatly needs the guidance which only research can give. You know, Montessori method of teaching, right? Dr. Montessori was the first woman doctor in Italy and was a surgeon as well as a physician. Being a doctor, she became an educationalist through her professional contact with defective children. Her interest in the mentally defective children awakened to her mission. By teaching them in her own way, she discovered a method known today all over the world as the Montessori method. In this way, she brought salvation to the child and to man. Okay, so learning became a creative expression, and every subject became an expression of joy. Madam Montessori never believed in toys because they did not lead the child anyway. She discovered that the actions of the child, which could be often called mischief or the results of an inner urge for constructive and creative activity. She gave an outlet to that energy by developing the Montessori materials, which were playthings through which both discipline and knowledge were acquired. Madam Montessori method of teaching was to give a little oral instruction as possible. So the examination of the European schools were held under the Code of Regulations for European schools. The conduct of the examinations was entrusted to a board called the European School Examination Board. The examinations were done by the Office of the Commissioner for Government Examinations under the control of the Secretary. The board consisted of the Inspector of European and Training Schools, who should also be a president, the senior inspectors of girls' schools, and 2 officials and 3 non-officials to be appointed annually by the Director of Public Instruction. So the institutions and organizations contributed a major share, for the development of female education. A notable organization which was started, the crusade against restrictions, against women was the Women's Indian Association and All India Women Conference. They did remarkable work in the field of education. Dr. Besant, it's called Annie Besant, established the Theosophical Educational Trust to carry out on the tradition of the college. The object of the trust was to establish schools and colleges open to students of every faith, in which the religious instruction should be an integral part of education. Educational contributions made by the missionaries awakened the government. The missionary educators were mainly responsible for influencing the government in many of its educational policies, like the introduction of English education and grant-in-aid system. the dispatch of 1854, the Education Commission 1882, Madras educational rules, and many other educational programs of the government were very much influenced by the missionaries. The social reformers of 19th century raised the demand for a woman's transformation, but to make them more capable of fulfilling their traditional roles. So since independence, the policy makers argued for a universal education and for making education as a tool for bringing about the social equality. So now we can see the role of government or the educator, the efforts has been taken by the people for the development of the skill among the women. For that, they appointed a joint committee, a joint committee of the Parliament on Empowerment of Women. That has been the committee has been constituted to keep women's issues under review. The main functions of the committee was to consider the reports submitted by the National Commission for Women and examine the measures taken by the government to secure for women equality, status, and dignity in all matters. The main work of the committee was to review the performance of the government, various ministers, even the educators, educationalists in the country, and also the various departments. As a result, women in India achieved a lot after taking the effort of government and also the NGOs, many NGOs and many educationalists, learned person. And a survey has been taken in 1998 to see the progress of women, So in that, the survey says women literacy rate has touched nearly 50%, just 50%. 1998 survey says, just 50%. So women access to education, women access to education, employment, representation in decision making bodies has shown significant improvement, but need some concern in the areas like health and violence against women. So the sensitization program and awareness program has to be organized. That is based on gender issues. These programs can be organized. The suggestion given by this committee. So even the Tamil Nadu State Commission for Women and constituted to safeguard the welfare of women and the issues related to the status of women. The vision of the Women's Commission are the Indian woman secure in her home and outside, fully empowered to access all her rights with the opportunity to contribute equality in all walks of life. So many commissions have been constituted and many social reformers, both men and women, worked hard in these issues related to women. The thing is, women have to bring their entire strength together to make men and society understand their issues and challenges. The women should be bold enough to face all the challenges in their life, both within a family and also the society. That is all in our hands. So I would like to end my lecture with a famous quote given by Brigham Young. If you educate a man, you educate only a man. But if you educate a woman, you educate an entire generation. The very powerful quote, right? Very powerful quote says the importance of women's education. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So if we have, if you can just stop screen and we can see you live.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. Yeah.
Gee. So thank you for bringing this part from the history. And this is certainly one aspect of educational growth for women. And there are a lot many things, but you have told us this particular part. We are very much thankful to you for that. And you have also mentioned about the book that you have written in the very beginning of your talk. So we want to know the name of the book, and it is on which particular topic.
Yes, madam. So I have written the book on the topic, the contribution, the humanitarian services of European women to Tamil Nadu. That was my research topic. So in that, I have published a book in this area.
Okay. So, if as a sake of curiosity, I just want to ask you that why have you taken this particular topic for your research and also for book writing? So, if you can just tell.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. Because when I was doing my undergraduate program, so I read the Indian history, right, from ancient, medieval, and modern. See, in ancient Indian history, early Vedic period, right? Early Vedic period, women were respected, by all walks of life. They were treated equally with men. They have given a lot of privileges to women. But just upside down after the later Vedic period, okay, women were not given any right. They suppressed, they suppressed in all. They are not the decision maker. They are like a slaves. They're like the slaves. Really, I got upset after reading all these things. And if you come to the medieval period, even that continues. Okay, even till now, modern period, if you go to the villages, you can see the condition of women. I've done a field visit. So maybe in the city level, like Chennai or Madras or Bangalore, somewhere, it was good really. But if you go to the villages, they're not treated well. They're not treated well till now. So out of this curiosity, so I read some books in while reading. I read some books while doing my research. So I would like to make a research in this area. Okay, now we are here. Okay, now I'm giving lecture, so you're also talking with us. Many women, they empowered in many ways. Right. So the credit goes to really not 100%, but somehow they also did a commendable work. The missionaries, their role is really commendable. Okay, so I wanted to do a research. What are the European women? Because after 19,600 onwards, the British people, they came to India as a traders. Okay, so after that, they came with their wife and children to India. This is a new country new area for here. Look for them, right? So the European women, they had a lot of leisure time. At this time, they're seeing the condition of women, the Indian women. Right. So few European women, like I have mentioned some names, Svensson, Asquith, Amy Carmichael. So these women, they came forward to help the women. So they realized education is the only weapon for the emancipation of women. So they provided. Okay, in the British model of education. In India, the caste system and all there, upper caste and lower caste, number of subcaste. Okay, education is restricted to a particular community. So no other people. So lot of things, discrimination in India. So it's very difficult for them to break everything, but they provided us education. So I wanted to know the historical background, what are the struggles they faced? Right? So in that, I made a research. Nearly, I read so many books, so many primary sources, the consultation, dispatches, from England, letters from England to India, from India to England. So many letters I have referred with the help of my guide in Tamil Nadu archives. The historical record center is there in Egmore, no, Chennai. So there I spent my life, 3 years, as a research scholar there, and I got a lot of GOs, government orders, consultation, and original records I have referred, and I completed my book that was also published. This was the yes, madam.
And yes, there are also many other contributions made by well-known Indian women as well, just like Savitribai Phule. But we respect your research area and your interest, and we are very happy to hear from you what you have been researched and you have presented. This is something you have taken us to the history. Now,
Yes,
coming from the history to the present time, ma'am, I just want to ask one particular thing from you, because we are talking about women empowerment. As an educator, what do you think should be key skills or core areas as far as educators' development, particularly women educators' development, is concerned? And when we are seeing that present era is more prone towards globalization and global family we are talking about. So preparing global educators and women educators, what skills you find should be there in the women, in the educators as a whole, and what should is being done, it is going, and what needs to be done? As an educator, what is your opinion about it?
The one word answer is we need courage. Okay, women need that, ma'am, seriously, because many acts were passed by the government, even the central government and state governments, in favor of women in all way, in all. But the women need awareness in that. Okay, so the women need awareness in that. We need, we are bold enough to face all the challenges. We have to come out. Okay, we should know what are the acts available. The awareness we have to create among the women. That skill we need to provide to the women. Okay, so laws are there to protect the women. Okay, but how many women knows the laws which is available to protect them? A lot of opportunities are there for women. Women should come forward. Women should come forward to accept everything, to face a lot of challenges we face. The society is like that. Our society is like that. Okay, a lot of discrimination, men and women, a lot of discrimination. But women should break everything boldly and should come forward. Then definitely she can achieve. Even my personal life, I'm a first generation learner in my family. So a lot of problems I faced after BA. They all family members, they came home and they said no need to study. Again, I completed with the support of my mother and father. Then I finished my MA, and then again they came and they stopped studying. Again, I did my MPhil and PhD. So a lot of things I also faced in my life, and now I'm here as a professor. I'm giving lecture here in this platform. See, lot of changes I faced in my life, madam. With my family members, but my mother always supported me. So now I'm here. Really, the credit goes to my mother. So we need, we have power, ma'am. We have to use it proper way. The courage and bold we need. Someone should support the women to come. The awareness we need. That skill we have to develop.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. And we are glad that you have shared your views with us today. And we wish all the best to you in future as well. Yes, and hope your work will definitely empower many women, those who are watching, and your students as well. Thank you so much.
Yes, madam. Thank you. Thank you, madam. Thank you so much.
See.